found a tube, and the minute I opened it, the smell transported me through time.
This one's wife. Ingriftus. What about the veterans? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. What is the Ingriftus Games, or more properly the Invictus Games, about? Well, according to its own website, it explains, returning from deployment in Afghanistan, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, watched as the coffin of a Danish soldier was loaded aboard for repatriation, alongside 3 injured British soldiers. That moment had a profound impact on him, and following a visit to the US Warrior Games in 2013, he was inspired to create the International Invictus Games to celebrate the unconquered human spirit and shine a spotlight on these men and women who served. The Invictus Games Foundation offers a recovery pathway for international wounded, injured and sick servicemen and women. We collaborate to provide opportunities for post-traumatic growth, enabling those involved to reclaim their purpose, identity and future beyond injury. Now, interestingly, the site credits Harry with the inspiration, whereas it's actually the case that the Invictus Games were founded by Prince Harry and the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and Sir Keith Mills in partnership with the Ministry of Defence. The inspiration did come from Harry's visit to the Warrior Games in the United States in 2013, where he witnessed the ability of sport to help both psychologically and physically with people that had been affected in service. It's a noble undertaking, and it's meant to be about the veterans, brave men and women who have put their lives on their line for the defence of their relevant countries. Whether it's peacekeeping operations or the theatre of war, each of these individuals has committed themselves to following orders and engaging in activity whereby they have risked life and limb. For that, they ought to be recognised and saluted. Unfortunately, you'd be hard-pressed to identify that these games are actually about the veterans, because so far with the media coverage, it's all been about Harry and particularly this one's wife. Now, they may bleat, well, we can't help the way that the media covers us, but you can. You could avoid the media coverage, for instance, by not insisting that you're going to make a speech introducing my husband, even though you lie by claiming that you hadn't intended to speak. You could have stayed in the background and allowed him to speak. You could have just sat in the front row, not even on the stage, just watching and applauding and being supportive towards your husband. But we all know that she's incapable of doing that, because as soon as she sees a microphone, she starts frothing at the mouth and has to say, gimme, gimme, gimme. It could be the case that they would ensure that where they stay and how they got there is done in a means which doesn't draw attention to themselves. But once again, that would mean compromise, and this one's wife does not compromise. It could also mean not doing something like this. Yes, this is a real or story that this one's wife uploaded to the Instagram account that she is starting to make more and more use of. As I've explained in other videos, social media is a playground for the narcissist, a fantastic way of reaching lots of people to control them by the production of content, the receipt of fuel, the acquiring of residual benefits where it can be monetized, and the management of a facade. And naturally, this one's wife is utilizing this because her ability to control through the media is being much reduced by virtue of the criticism that she receives. Thus, returning to her roots as an influencer, she started to make more use of this social media outlet, which will naturally provide us with numerous opportunities to laugh at the output and, of course, to analyse it vis-à-vis her narcissism. But returning to the matter in hand with regard to the fact that the Invictus Games ought to be about the veterans, this one's wife ensures that it's about her. We're treated to the video, which starts off by showing her and Ginger Pubes amidst all of the competitors. She will argue, of course, she's drawing attention to them, but you're in amongst them all. Why not just take a picture or film the competitors? You don't have to be amongst them. Then, of course, we have this one's wife crouching down by somebody in a wheelchair, attempting to look engaged and enthused, but she, of course, is in the picture. She's there then as she is watching Harry give a little jig. He's clearly getting overexcited and perhaps has had too much of the nose candy, as we see in the background the hilarious picture of this one's wife as she is pushing somebody in a wheelchair. It looks from the reaction of the individual that she didn't want to be moved, and this one's wife has suddenly started pushing her. It's quite hilarious. The expressions of the individuals in the background are looking as if to say, what the fuck is she doing? Why is she moving her? And this one's wife's posture is if, is this how it works? I push here? As if she hasn't a clue how a wheelchair operates. But once again, notice that it's Harry doing a jig and this one's wife that's in there. And naturally, we get to see her engaging in what she loves doing, being a hugger. And whoever's doing the filming has ensured that this one's wife is captured in one of her outfit changes, a particularly unflattering beige outfit, which makes her look bigger than she actually is, while she hugs some poor woman who's saying, I've wandered in here by mistake. Who are you again and why are you hugging me? And then we get to see Harry hugging somebody, but this one's wife is naturally in the background. It's hugs all around. Once again, this one's wife utilising this as a physical assertion of control. We then see it's the ladies of Team USA as this one's wife has joined in. She's a competitor too, you know. Let her join in. She's served. She's a competitor. Didn't you realise that? Yes. She once turned up with the USO and attempted to sing as people thought, get away from me, you harpy. For her, that counts as having served, and she once had a fractured eyelash, which means that she qualifies for appearing in the Invictus Games. So let me in, Team USA, as I can hang out with all of you. And she then posts a picture of her, inserted, of course, right in the middle of them. So all of this was pulled together as a video and uploaded to Instagram. This one's wife will think, look, I'm highlighting the competitors, but she's not. She's highlighting her, because that's all that matters. What would have been wrong with creating a compilation of perhaps individual competitors with a slight word about who they are and where they're from, and possibly reference to the injury or affliction or disability that they're dealing with? You don't necessarily have to mention that, but people might find it interesting to learn more about what affects the veterans. Make it about them. You could select half a dozen people, put up their name, their country, and the discipline that they're going to be competing in. You could have them talk to the camera. Hi, I'm such and such. These are my hopes about Invictus. I'm really looking forward to this. I come from this country. I served or I'm currently serving, etc. But no, that would be much more interesting and informative and would put the focus on the people that it's meant to be about, the veterans, the servicemen and servicewomen. But that would take, of course, the limelight away from this one's wife, and instead it has to be all about her. I'm pleased to report that I had a quick look over at the Invictus Games X account, and there's only one instance at the time that I looked of Prince Harry and this one's wife being mentioned, which was at the opening ceremony. The rest of it is all about the competitors, as it should be. They know how to do it, keeping the focus on the people that matter. Once again, this one's wife, with regards to her behaviour, with regards to the self-promotion, and the way that it then means that because she makes herself so prominent, the media are going to report on this, it all becomes about her, and so little is about the actual competitors. I would invite you now to consider, what do you know about the competitors in the Invictus Games? Do you know how many they are? Do you know which countries are involved? Do you know any of the names of the people that are competing? I say that to you not to suggest that you're at fault for not knowing, but I bet that you would have to go and do a little bit of digging around to find this information out, rather than it being offered up on a plate as it ought to be. And the reason it isn't is because a particular narcissist is once again sucking all the attention towards her. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for watching.